Hello everyone, let's talk technology. Welcome to Let's Talk Technology, and today it's a very important topic about the various departments of any startup, any organization, any SME or any company. So we are going to talk about the departments that are responsible for the growth of any company. So what are these departments? So the departments that we are going to talk about are HR, sales, operations, marketing, finance, accounts, and R&D. So these are basically the pillars of any organization, and on these pillars, the company survives, the company grows, and it can create wonders. So let's start with HR. So what is HR? How you get your salaries, the trainings, the PF, the company policy, the leave policy. So all these are pretty much defined in HR. So HR's responsibility, the HR executives as well as the HR managers' responsibility is related to all these things. So when you get your salary slips, it's the HR department that's responsible for that. The managers probably just send the details of your leaves or of your attending days, the attendance, and it's the HR department that makes your salaries. So if you have to undergo a certain training, your manager will probably send a request to the HR that so and so person has to undergo a training, and it's the HR that organizes that. When you see lots of festivities within the department or within your organization, you see balloons. On Independence Day, you see flags. That's all HR. So all this is being carried by HR. HR is one of the more important departments in an organization. Next comes the operations. Operations is where all the action happens. Operations is like a bedroom. How? So the action all happens in bedroom, but the result comes after probably 9 months or 10 months. And that's what operations does. So if you are a small IT company and you are designing websites for your clients, so your developers and the designers who are working, they are part of your operations team. Similarly, if you are a digital marketing company, all the employees who are working on digital marketing, doing SEO, doing organic, doing paid marketing for the clients and customers, they are all part of operations. And this is where the action happens. The operation guys are the ones who are trying to do the production and to generate revenue for the company. But what happens when they've developed a product or a service? So how to reach that out to the end user? So that's where the marketing and the sales departments come into picture. Marketing is something where you launch a product or a service and where you market that, whether it is digital media, whether it is print media. Digital marketing, print marketing makes it all happen. So you reach that out to the end user through these medias. But what happens when the revenue starts to come in, or how does the revenue start to come in? Once your product or service reaches the end user, it's the sales guys who convert those end users into monetary aspect, which is the end sales. So end sales happen because of the sales department. And that's the department that generates the revenue for the company. Now comes the finance and the accounts department. Now finance is something which is one of the core departments of any organization. Finance does the thinking part. It takes care of how the company is going to do or produce new product or come up with a new idea. They are taking care of the financial aspect of everything. So they have to plan in advance how the funds are going to be allocated to the right department and which department is important at any given point of time. Finance takes care of your salaries. Finance does all the spending work. They do all the thinking in terms of the financial aspect. Next in line is the accounts department. Now, accounts department are basically the guys who take care of all the bills, who take care of the bills receivable, the bills payable, and they take care of all the accounting that goes on in any organization. So everything is per se checked, so to say. The accounts department is also a core department of any organization. Now, our topic today is basically not just centered around these departments. I will talk about R&D a little later on, but these departments was basically an introduction to a more core problem, which is what happens when the co-founders or the founders of a startup or a small organization they tend to differ from their core strength, which is, say for example, you are two friends, both of you are coders, and you one day decide to form a company. As coming from the technical background, you think that you can take care of each and everything, but once you start a small company and you start a startup, you start to feel the heat, you start to feel the pain of running an organization. So what is it that you can do probably to take care of things related to these departments? So if you are two co-founders, you can probably take care of two departments each initially. There are lots of tools that you can use online for outsourcing some of your departments. Like suppose you can probably outsource your HR, you can outsource your accounts. So there are small or different tools which can help you in that regard, and you don't have to pay much regarding these tools. I will talk about these tools in detail in another video, but for now, how these tools can help and how you can justify your time and relate it to your core strength, which is coding. So once you have been coding for say 6 months, the first 6 months, those 6 months you are paying yourself salaries, but now you decide to hire somebody. So when you are hiring someone, the first thing that you have to keep in mind is, how am I going to pay this person and how am I going to justify that salary which I'm going to pay them? So you cannot hire anybody and just fire them after 3 months or 4 months or 6 months. Down the line, we need to just understand this. According to a recent study, 90% of the startups that open up without any plan, they close down their shutters within the first year. Why? Why does that happen? This happens because we are not concentrating on our core strengths. We are concentrating on pretty much each and everything, and that actually makes us wayward, and it takes us into a different direction altogether. So when this happens, or when it will happen, believe me, it will happen one day. And because once you are in that circle, that vicious circle of 1st to 31st, that you have to generate money for the salary to be paid on 1st, and you have to make yourself work to pay the salary to your employees, that's when the graph of the company starts to go down. And that's when we need to take care of all these things in that particular manner, where we can distribute our time and our resources in such a way that they are not harming us, but we are getting the advantage from it. So now, as a startup, you and your partner or you and your co-founder have decided what to do and what not to do. So you've decided amongst yourselves, like one of you would take care of the development as well as the finance department. So how would you manage the finance department? So you pool in your finances, both of you, and one of them is making the expenses, but keep it so transparent that everybody is viewing all what is going on in the company related to expenses and related to the finances. The second person can probably take up, again, operations will remain amongst the both of you because you both are coders. So the other person is also developing, the other person is also coding, but he or she can also take care of one more department, say client handling, or which is sales. The client handling is basically doing business development. Business development in turns relates to or results in sales. So that is where the revenue is coming in. So when you have taken care of these four core departments, the rest you can probably outsource. The rest, when you have outsourced it, HR and accounts, so you outsource these departments. Your job becomes a lot easier in terms of handling time, handling pressure, and ultimately not falling into the trap of 1st to 31st salary days, right? Now comes the important part, the one area or the one department that I didn't discuss it earlier, but that is R&D. R&D is one department where you can do lots of wonders. Initially, when you started your company, you did some R&D, and that's how you formed a company. You probably recognized or identified a gap in an existing product or service which is going on in the market. You identified that gap, and based on that, you probably launched your product, or you wanted to launch your product. So this is where the R&D comes into picture. Lots of companies, big companies, they spend a lot on R&D. Initially, R&D should all be handled by you as co-founders. Most of the companies, most of the startups, most of the SMEs keep the R&D department pretty much in wraps amongst the owners or the co-founders. So that's where the water starts to flow from. Water always flow from top to bottom. So if you are holding that card close to your chest, you will probably get to know what is going on in the market. Based on that, you will do your research and development. Based on that, you will launch new products, new services. Based on that, probably you will try to move to new locations, new geographical locations. You will identify new areas of business. You will try to identify new clients, new geographies. So all this is based on research and development. Today we are going to talk about just this. It's a very small video. It was very important, and this is what I wanted to discuss. You want me to talk about in detail about any particular one department or a combination of couple of departments, please let me know in the comment section below, and we'll be happy to do that. Well, thank you from Let's Talk Technology. Have a very great day and have a nice day. Bye-bye.